Well, hey there, and welcome back for another Secondhand Opinions video. I'm Jason Alderman, the internet's favorite fat mouth, fat ass, bringing you fat stacks of fuck facts. Today, let's talk about what exactly the fuck is going on in Fort Hoid. What the fuck? Let's take a little walk through some brief history and through some recent headlines to kind of paint a story to get you folks to understand what I'm talking about if you haven't been following along. You may remember this story about Vanessa Guillen being murdered at Fort Hoid. If I recall correctly, I'm not going to read a lot of these articles, but if I recall correctly, Vanessa Guillen was murdered by somebody who had been accused of sexual misconduct with her. That individual ended up murdering Vanessa, and then him and his girlfriend / ex-wife dismembered her body with an axe and a machete and burned the remains in a shallow grave, then buried. I think that's the story. Pretty gruesome shit. So that's what happened to Vanessa. And that was kind of the first death that brought Fort Hoid to my attention. Now, we go over here, and here's what we know about 8 of the soldiers who have died this year in Fort Hoid. Let's read a little bit of this article. Human remains identified as missing Fort Hoid soldier. We saw that there. I'm not so much interested in this first paragraph, 2009, blah, blah, blah. It's not pertinent to today. But today the Post, about 60 miles from Austin, Texas, is facing another series of tragedies as one service member after another turns up dead. The most notorious case is that of SPC Vanessa Guillen, we just talked about, whose remains were discovered a few weeks ago. Months after her disappearance, circumstances surrounding her death promoted the Army to assemble a civilian review of the command, climate, and culture at Fort Hoid. Besides Guillen, at least 7 soldiers stationed at Fort Hoid have died or been found dead since March, including one who took his own life, becoming a suspect in Guillen's disappearance. There have been 23 deaths this year among the Post's 36,000 soldiers. Fort Hoid officials told CNN in the statement, according to officials, the deaths include 7 off-duty accidents, 7 suicides, 1 combat-related deaths, 4 homicides, 1 of which was on the base, 2 of natural causes, 1 that was undetermined pending an autopsy, and 1 drowning. So an awful lot of folks dying at Fort Hoid. 7 suicides, 7 accidents, 4 homicides that they're talking about in this article from July 25. Let's move along here. Another soldier gone missing from Fort Hoid 7 weeks after Vanessa Guillen's remains were discovered. The U.S. Army is searching for another missing Fort Hoid soldier, 23-year-old Sergeant Elder N. Fernandez, who was last seen by members of his unit on Monday at a residence in Killeen, Texas. The Army base has faced scrutiny after several soldiers from the Texas facility have gone missing or died this year, including Specialist Vanessa Guillen, whose remains were discovered nearly 7 weeks ago. So, this caught my eye yesterday. I just didn't get around to covering it. We move on to this next story. Missing Fort Hoid soldier was victim in abusive sex contact investigation. Army says victim in abusive sex contact. Fort Hoid soldier who has been missing since Monday has been transferred to a different unit because he was the victim of an abusive sexual contact investigation, the Army says. Lieutenant Colonel Christopher Brodigan, a 1st Cavalry Division public affairs officer, told CNN in a statement that there was an open investigation of the abuse of sexual contact involving Sergeant Elder Fernandez, and confirmed that Fernandez was a victim of the investigation. So that's 2 missing people at least who were victims of sexual misconduct on the base, not to mention a handful of suicides, handful of homicides, and some accidents. Now, to the part that's not so terrible, no foul play suspected in case of missing Fort Hoid soldier. This is kind of the light at the end of the tunnel, if we will. Do-do-do. Military officials say they do not suspect foul play in the disappearance of Sergeant Elder Fernandez, a 23-year-old Fort Hoid soldier who was last seen on Monday. His family contacted police on Wednesday and said that Fernandez was last seen by a staff sergeant who dropped him off at his home in Killeen on Monday afternoon, according to the Killeen Police Department. Fort Hoid officials say information they have gathered from the soldiers at this point indicates that Fernandez left of his own accord. Our priority remains that Sergeant Fernandez get back to the people who care about him, said Justin Redfern, commander of the 553 Combat Sustainment Support Battalion. We were concerned for his well-being and want him to continue the care he was receiving before he went missing. Our unit and the Army have the resources to help him. So it sounds like hopefully he's not dead, he's just AWOL. But still, exactly what the hell is going on at Fort Hoid, people? This is a military base, supposed to be a highly regimented establishment. Supposed to be very well controlled, right? There's 36,000 soldiers on this base. It's an awful lot of death, and so, I mean, maybe not per capita, but we're probably going to see more about Fort Hoid in the near future, guys. Well, alrighty, let's all pretend like our opinions matter. Leave that shit in the comments below. And remember, this is social media, so do all the things.